Okay, so let me start off this video with, I wasn't sure if I ever really wanted to do a video on this because some of this stuff is kind of behind me and everything like that, but I've had enough people ask the question of why did you go from owning your own business, running a detailing business that was successful, and go into car sales? And it's a bit of a story. And if you want to follow along, great. If you don't, oh well. But in 2015, so 11 years ago, I decided that I wanted to have a shot at running my own business. And how it actually all started was my wife and I, we'd only been married a couple of years, and we decided that we really wanted to pay down debt. And instead of going and getting a second job, I told her, hey, I used to detail cars in high school. So if we take $700 or $750 out of savings, then all I have to do is just do 1 or 2 cars on the weekend, and boom, I've made just what I would have at a part-time job with just doing details. Well, at this time I was in Pierce, South Dakota, which is the capital, and it just kind of blew up. Like within a month, I was working 40 hours a week at my full-time job and 40 hours a week detailing. So I would load up everything into the back end of a truck, and I'd go to someone's house every single weeknight and detail their vehicles. And then over the weekend, I was doing like 12 hours a day on the weekend. And so then my wife and I decided that we wanted to move down to Sioux Falls, which is South Dakota's biggest city, and to be closer to family and all these kinds of things, right? And so we moved down to Sioux Falls and then decided to start a car detailing business. Now, started the car detailing business in October of 2015, which is an important point because for those of you who are not in the Midwest, you might not know that we get a thing called winter, and detailing cars in the wintertime, not a great start. So that first winter was pretty rough, but I stuck to it. I was constantly putting out content, was putting out videos and everything like that. Unfortunately, it was all on Facebook, so they're kind of all lost now. But come spring, boom, business took off, and off to the races I went. Fast forward to 2018, and I was in a 3,000 square foot shop, 4 full-time employees, and we were just banging out cars. We were doing 6 to 8 cars a day. I had an amazing crew of guys that really made all my dreams come true. Like, I had done it. For all intents and purposes, I had just kind of done it, right? Well, at the time, we were using a lot of products, Optimum Polymer Technology products, or some of you might know it as OptiCoat, in our shop. And I was really in talks with a guy there named Ivan LaCroix, and Ivan really did a lot to improve my processes and maybe an even better business owner. And one day he said, well, hey, what if you came on as a regional manager for Optimum? And so we talked about what that looked like and went through it. And as a part of that, I had to sell the business to go full time with it. So I'd kind of thought about it, realized, this was what I thought was the next step, right? It was an upgrade. Sold the business, and for 1 year worked with Optimum, and kind of quickly found out that I'm not really cut out for working for other people. It just wasn't going to work out. So in 2019, I then started up another business called ClarityCoat. And ClarityCoat, I owned it with my business partner who was overseas. And we did that from 2019 to 2024. And in 2024, we were having to kind of tighten up our belts a little bit. Revenue was down a little, and we could have probably made it work, but there were some other challenges going on as well, which is what happens when you have kind of a global company, right? You've got product getting shipped all over, and all this kind of stuff. And from 2015 to 2024, and this is a very important point that I have to bring up, I also had 2 kids. They are now 9 and 6 years old, almost 10 and almost 7. And during the time that I had ClarityCoat, there were times about every couple of months that I had to leave for 7 to 10 days at a time. Now, my wife is an amazing person. She's very strong. And so one of the best things about Jess is that when I left, there was no resistance. It wasn't a problem. She just kind of took care of it, right? Even though it's a big strain, but she knew what she was kind of getting into, having done kind of my own thing for the last, let's just call it decade, right? But things were stressful at home. Like, you can't do that kind of lifestyle. You can't have that kind of business without having a lot of stress. And then in August, we were out on a camping trip, and we found out that she was pregnant with our third kid. And there was just this moment where she's crying, she's stressed, she's scared. And it was a moment that, it was kind of one of these things where it should have been a happy moment, right? Because, kids are kids, and we didn't necessarily want a third one, but we'll take it, right? And it's a blessing. And there was just this moment where I just kind of knew that this couldn't continue on. This kind of lifestyle just couldn't continue on. As strong as of a woman as Jess is, asking someone to take care of a newborn kid along with two other kids, and she's got her own successful career that she also has, and to do all of that just so I can kind of go do my thing, which at that particular point in time, we were just unsure of what was going to happen. Like, there was a lot of variables up in the air, right? And so it was a moment where I had to take a step back as a person, as a man, as a father, and say, you know what? I think I've had my run. I think I need to do what's right for my family. And I think I just need to go get a job. And I told her this, and she just flat out refused. She's like, nope, that's not who you are. You're going to hate it. You were made to run your own thing. And to a degree, I think she's still right on that. But I told her, we just had a very serious talk, and I said, Jess, you've let me do my own thing for the last decade. I think it's time that I can give back to you and give you some stability and give you some peace and so on and so forth. And it took a little bit of convincing on her end. And honestly, I think for the couple of months afterwards, she still wasn't convinced that I wasn't going to go do my own thing. But here we are, year and a half later, still have a job, still have a job. But here's some of the things that I've kind of learned over the last year and a half. One, I always said that if entrepreneurship didn't work out, if running my own thing didn't work out, that being a salesperson being in sales actually is just to the left of being an entrepreneur. You have to work every single day to earn your own paycheck, and you've got to grind it out. And honestly, you still have to kind of do the same amount of content. I mean, it's a little bit different, right? And there is some tighter guidelines that you have to stay within because it's not your business. You are representing someone else's business. But revenue-wise, money-wise, you have to put in the work. And so I was used to putting in that work. So when I got home, and after a couple of days of thinking about it and everything like that, I started searching, what do I want to do? Well, I've always been around cars, like car industry for the last decade, detailing, Optimum, ClarityCoat. Those are all car related businesses. And so I said, well, maybe I give car sales a shot. So there was a family owned dealership not too far away from my house. I called them up, said I'm interested in becoming a car salesperson, and they did an interview process with me, which honestly, it was a great interview process. They had a really great way of filtering out people. And so I started my first job at Franklin Motor Company selling used cars, and learned a lot in that first year, got trained very well. Just learned a lot, right? And I did decently okay well at it. I mean, I'm not afraid to say the numbers and everything like that, but I sold 187 cars or something like that in my first year of doing it. I never once hit draw. including I wasn't able to sell cars until halfway through October, and still came over draw on that, which honestly I'm still pretty proud about. I think that's a pretty good accomplishment for someone who's just never sold cars, and then I was able to get it done, right? But after about a year, so this is October 2024, so in 25, I just kind of wanted to venture out into something else. I wanted to do new cars, and one of the previous employees that I worked with, he went over to Luxury Auto Mall in Sioux Falls, where we sell BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Cadillac, and asked him about the culture, asked him about, you know, what it's like working there and everything like that. And he had nothing but good things to say. So I reached out to them, told them I was interested, and also had a really good interview process with them. They have it really dialed in here. And everything was positive. And then when did I move over here? January, no, it was February 1st of 26, moved over to Luxury Auto Mall, and I am extremely happy with where I'm at. New cars, especially across 3 different brands, offers a lot of different challenges, a lot of new challenges. And they got an amazing crew of people here. They've got an amazing operation, but that's kind of the story on how I went from owning my own detailing business and having a detailing business to doing car sales. And one of the other reasons why I kind of wanted to do this is I've had some people, business owners that I knew here, say some things along the lines of like, oh, you know, couldn't cut it, couldn't make it work, and all this kind of stuff. And and to be honest with you, for the first 6 months that I moved over to Frankman's, the first job, there was a lot of anger, a lot of disappointment. There was a lot of nights that I had trouble going to sleep because I was so angry at myself for putting my family in that situation, for putting my wife in that situation. You know, Jess doesn't do well with pregnancy. She's constantly nauseated, constantly throwing up from day one. It's first term all the way to third term, like, or trimester, sorry. She just doesn't do well. But you know what? April 1st came around. Michaela got born. She is gorgeous. She is amazing. She has been awesome. She's been a complete blessing. And as luck would have it, her first birthday was just a couple of days ago, because I'm filming this in April right now. So we celebrated her first birthday this last weekend, over Easter weekend. And I think things have gone pretty decently well, right? So anyways, this was off the cuff, wasn't really pre-scripted or anything like that, but I'd had enough people ask about the situation that I wanted to get a video out of the way, and then I can just send them a link and say, here you go. Like, this is the long and the short of it, right? Had some really great life experiences across all 3 ventures that I did. I actually started up another car detailing business in the mix of that as well when I had ClarityCoat. So I've started 2 detailing businesses, both of them successful, depending on what you qualify as success. ClarityCoat was a success, again, depending on how you qualify success. So yeah, anyways, I don't really know how to end this other than, if you have comments, put them below, like, subscribe. I don't know. That's it.